When Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta had first met, that first conversation, it was build me a squad to win and dominate. But Andrea Berta must have clapped back and said, I think you need a striker to do that. And you need an attacking midfielder. And you need a right winger. And you need a left winger to dominate. Are you up for that? Mikel Arteta goes, yeah, let's see what you can do. Boom, this is what he can do. I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports. If you're new to the show, like, subscribe, turn that notification on so you don't miss a show every time we upload. I'm going to be going through everything today. The players coming in, the squad, the stats, and also the new formation that's going to propel Arsenal to all four fronts. Well, maybe not all four, but that's the one, or maybe the two important ones that we need. The Premier League, the Champions League. Let's get into the show. So we know Eze should be on his way to Arsenal next week. Madueke is pretty much going to be a done deal. Let's just get over that one. Let's not stop crying about that one. That's going to be a done deal. Gyökeres is going to be a done deal. Arsenal are not going to lose that deal over 5 million. It's not going to happen. The one that's going to be saying, maybe you, Arsenal ain't going to do this deal. Now they've signed Madueke. There's no way. I saw one person today saying the reason why they've done the Madueke deal is to turn around and say that there's no money left in the coffers. Rodrigo. He is on his way to Arsenal. I'm telling you now, I said Arsenal will sign 4 attacking players this season, and they are on the cusp of doing that. Rodrigo is going to be the cherry on the top. When Arsenal sign all the rest of the players that I've just mentioned, when Rodrigo comes in, it's going to go off. So let's go. Looking at Arsenal's current front three, your Havertz, your Martinelli, and your Saka, you look at that and they say that's not enough to get over the line. That's not enough. And I know that myself. I know that myself. These front three are not what Arsenal need to get over the line, but they're what Arsenal need to have in a squad to get over the line. With Arsenal making reinforcements on the pitch, they need to make reinforcements off the pitch, which is Gabriel Jesus needs to go next season. They can't get rid of him this season. He's on his way back from rehab, but he's going to play a pivotal part in this upcoming season. Next season, yeah, go, boom, done, bye. The player who's going to be going this season, though, is going to be Trossard. 100%, he's out the door. I can see it happening, and Arsenal need to make a make-way shift to make it happen. First of all, it was Martinelli. No, it's not Martinelli. It's definitely going to be Trossard, in my opinion. Once you bring in the Madueke and then you go after Rodrigo, that's what's going to happen. So take one more look at Trossard, please, because this is going to be the last time you see him in an Arsenal shirt. Then again, you might get to see him in the preseason friendly over in Singapore. So when we look at Martinelli's stat, we look at Saka's stat, we look at Rodrigo's stats, Madueke's stat, we start thinking to ourselves, okay, are these 4 actually any good? Are these 4 going to help us win what we need to win when you look at these numbers? When you look at Martinelli's numbers, they're not too bad. They're not too shabby. But the players that's kind of come in, the Madueke as well as a Rodrigo, are they any better? When we look at Saka's numbers, yeah, they're decent, they're good, but they're not great. They're not a Mo Salah's number. When you look at Mo Salah, we start thinking 18 assists and 29 Premier League goals last season. That's where we need to get to. That's where we need Saka to start delivering, getting 15 to 20 assists, 15 to 20 goals in the Premier League. That's what we need. Yes, he's younger than Mo Salah. I hear that. But we label the person star, then that's what needs to happen. We need star performances, star stats. That's what we need. But we also need it from a Martinelli as well. But equally, when we bring in Madueke, when he comes into the fold, then we've got to start saying, okay, boom, this is what we need. This is how it's going to work. We need Madueke to produce more numbers. Last season wasn't too shabby, 7-3. The season before, 5-2. We may look at Madueke and go, you're not the one for us. But I think he can be a contributing factor of Arsenal winning a Premier League. I'm not trying to jump on his coattails because he's coming in. I'm just saying he's not as bad as what people make him out to be. The fee may be bad for what we're paying, but he ain't bad. Rodrigo, on the other hand, now this player His stats are not the greatest out there. But would he help Arsenal get to where we need to? The answer to a lot of people is going to be yes. Mine is still on the fence, it's still in the middle. And the main reason for that is because we really and truly haven't seen him play on the left to see what he can do. But the numbers that he put up there for Real Madrid last season was okay. The season before was okay. The season before that was okay. But I'm still wanting to see a Mo Salah type number from a winger that we bring in. But the winger that, Mikel Arteta wants is not to produce big, massive numbers. But we still carry on. We still carry on. With Martin Odegaard, if you look at his numbers, again, they're not too shabby. They're okay. Last season wasn't the greatest, but you bring in an Eze. This is where Martin Odegaard needs to shine like he did 3 seasons ago, where he put up a 37, 15, and 7 type of numbers. You bring in an Eze now, we're then talking a bit different kettle of fish of numbers. For what he done for Crystal Palace, imagine what he's going to do for Arsenal. It is just going to explode. Pretty much like the sweat on my head right now. I need to do a pat down. So, what's your thoughts so far from what you have seen when it comes to these figures and what the players are going to bring in? Are these the sort of numbers that you can turn around and say, do you know what? I still don't think, even with these players coming in, it's going to be enough for Arsenal to win the league? Or are you thinking, do you know what? We get this right, and TK, if you're saying you believe in that Arsenal are going to get these players, then damn, yeah, it's enough. But when we look at the forward line, we look at a Kai Havertz, who's going to be the deputy number 2, no doubt about it, under a Victor Gyökeres, he pulls up some decent numbers. And again, this is what Arsenal need. So when you need to rest a Victor Gyökeres, you will have someone there who will step in and still score goals and make assists. This is what we've been all about. This squad build is having variety of options. So we don't necessarily rely on one, because one player may not be good for one game where the other player is good for that game, and vice versa. But when we looked at Victor Gyökeres, who's going to come in, and yes, it's the Portuguese league, and you'll start thinking, the goals he scored over there in Portugal, is he going to get the same type of goals here in the Premier League? Heck yeah. Yeah, he is. Don't think the Premier League has a plethora of great defenders out there. They don't. But what's going to happen with Victor Gyökeres and the way that Arsenal play in this new formation, which I'm about to break down to you all, is just going to explode. What his strengths are, we're going to absolutely maximize it to the letter, to the last drop in him. We're going to see 25 Premier League goals from this man alone. Bank me on that. If you're a betting person, put a pound bet at the bookies once we sign Victor Gyökeres, 25 Premier League goals. See what your returns are. And when you get your returns, give me some. When it comes to the lineup, let's talk about this. 4-2-3-1. That's the formation I'm seeing. As you can see here, it's split onto two camps. You got plan A, you got plan B. Now, with that, this just shows you what I think is going to be Arsenal's strongest 11, so not Arsenal's weakest 11, but Arsenal's alternative 11. And the reason why I say the alternative is that whether it's an FA Cup game, a Carabao Cup game, we're playing against Wolves, Leeds, Everton, we're playing against those sort of teams. I'm saying to you, we've got players here who can step up, who are going to be more than Premier League proven, but to absolutely get us more wins than draws. We need to get away from the 14 draws and get it down to at least 5 draws and 3 losses in the Premier League alone. And Arsenal will then win the Premier League. Last season's 14 draws, as many defeats as I can remember, and it wasn't that many. But Arsenal were just so far off it when it came to Liverpool. But the first team, when you look at this, was just going to be Raya and goal, Lewis Skelly. Then you got your Gabriel, your Saliba, and your Julian Timber, who mistakenly could lose his place to Ben White. But we got to say, could. You'll have your Zubimendi and your Declan Rice there. They'll be the best partnership, I will say, in the Premier League in this coming season. You'll have Martin Odegaard in front of him, but then he's now got competition with Eze coming in to say, listen, if you're not going to do what needs to be done, you're going to lose your spot. You're not going to be hovering on the right-hand side anymore. We need you dead centre. That's what Mikel Arteta will be telling him. I need you dead centre to facilitate your Rodrigo, your Saka, and your Gyökeres. That's what's going to happen. But the same is going to be for Eze when he comes into the team. If he takes Odegaard's spot, I need you to facilitate these three guys, and they need to hit their numbers. Not only in goals, you need to also hit the assists. So Odegaard and Eze have a job on their hands. They need to be the conductor, the organ grinder. They will need to do everything to make Arsenal keep on ticking along as we go on to win trophies this coming season. And I said that word, trophies. And they say trophy. I said trophies. Now, if you're still watching this part of the show, how many trophies do you think Arsenal's going to win? Put in a comment. It's like trophy 1, trophy 2, trophy 3, or trophy 4. Let me know what your thoughts are. So, what's your thoughts on this formation anyway? The 4-2-3-1. Is it better than the 4-3-3 that Arsenal used to play? And there's this formation now. You're seeing what it's going to be. Can you see why Mikel Arteta is going for it? Can you see why Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta are signing the amount of signings that they're doing to make Arsenal compete on all fronts? Now you're seeing it. Now you're getting it. Now you're seeing that Arsenal will be able to compete on all 4 fronts, barring injuries, of course, wiping the whole team out. Now, when we look at other things as well, when we think of, okay, what's the competition going to be out there? Where do Arsenal stack up? What is going to be the one Achilles heel in Arsenal pursuing it? My Achilles heel is, do you know what? When Arsenal was going for strikers in the past, I look away when I say this. Remember when we got linked to Benzema? If you're old enough, you'll know this. There was linked to a Higuain. Then was linked to a Luis Suarez. Then was linked to a Dusan Vlahovic. Oh my God, the daily Dusan. And then there was Sesko. And now it's going to be Gyökeres. But out of all of this, Mikel Arteta has a track record of not getting his strikers. When you wanted to do something for Vlahovic, it never happened. We chased him. There was no plan B. Now with Andrea Berta in, it's a different story altogether. You want Sesko, but I also have a backup plan as well in Victor Gyökeres. And this is what you need to be looking at, Mikel Arteta. This is what you need to be looking at. And Mikel Arteta has said, you know what, we can't get my man that I want. Go after him. But maybe Mikel Arteta got a bit stubborn at the same time and went, if I can't get Sesko, I want Madueke. That could be the case. But anyway, you guys have been great watching this show. I want to know your thoughts on the formation, the 4-2-3-1. Does it work for Arsenal? Does it actually release all of Arsenal's superpowers? Does that midfield of the Rice and Zubamende give you confidence and say, you know what, Rice can still bomb forward and Zubamende can still bomb forward if he needs to? Because we saw him in the Nations League final popping up and scoring a goal. We know Martin Odegaard has genius in him. We know Eze has excellence in him and genius as well. So Arsenal now have a team and we'll be building a team and I'm guaranteeing you this. You can take a screenshot. You can clip what I'm saying. You can post it. You can make fun of me for saying this. But Arsenal will sign Zubamendi. They will sign Gyökeres, Rodrigo, Madueke. They will have this team out for Arsenal to succeed. But one thing I want to go before we go, look at this. This was Arsenal's team last season, the 4-3-3. And you compare it to the 4-2-3-1, can you see why it's going to change? Can you now see why it needs to change? And Mikel Arteta woke up and, like I said, went to Andrea Berta and said, build me a squad to compete. And now when you look at the 4-2-3-1 versus the 4-3-3, if both teams had to play each other, what team would win? You let me know also on that front, the 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1. But I told you the limitations with Martin Odegaard, he was always on the right-hand side. Where's Saka? Where's Saka? Where's Saka? On the 4-2-3-1, now he's in the middle. He has no option but to look to the left, to the right, to the centre. On this 4-2-3-1, that's why it works. The 4-3-3, that's why we never won the Premier League, why we never went further in the Champions League, why we never went further in the Carabao Cup, why we kept on getting knocked out of the FA Cup once we won it under Mikel Arteta. But that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'm Ty Knight for TK24 Sports.